So Lucas Brown stops Richard Towers in the 5th round to become the mandatory challenger for David Price's Commonwealth crown. For 4.5 rounds, Richard Towers tried to do his best Vladimir Klitschko impersonation. He was moving around, sticking a long jab, and he did have some success frustrating Lucas Brown in there. But he wasn't strong enough or savvy enough to keep Lucas Brown off of him when Brown backed him up to the ropes. And I believe it was in the 3rd or 4th round was the first time that Brown actually connected with some solid shots, and he shook Richard Towers pretty badly. And it was very similar to the Gregory Tony situation where Towers was on rubber legs. He never actually properly went down, but he was on rubber legs. But he managed to get out of that round. But in the 5th, again, Towers was trying to, keep Lucas Brown at bay, trying to keep him on the end of long punches. But once Brown got him to the ropes, he unloaded with a vicious barrage of punches, and Richard Towers was seriously hurt. And the referee gave him a count, and that was all she wrote. The referee waved it off. Towers' legs was all over the place, and Lucas Brown was the winner. So, Brown goes on to challenge for the Commonwealth title. He obviously wants that Commonwealth title. Brown is one of them kind of guys who it's easy to root for because this guy had no amateur fights. I think he's now had 18 or 19 fights as a pro. He only started boxing in his 30s. Imagine that. No amateur experience. Took up boxing in his 30s. And he's now about to challenge for a Commonwealth title. So that's pretty impressive. It's pretty similar to what other fighters like Martin Rogan, Matt Skelton, etc. have done. But those guys did actually have some type of background in combat sports before they came over to professional boxing. Whereas Lucas Brown, apparently he had a little experience in MMA, but not much. And apparently he said he wasn't very good at MMA, so he just took up boxing at the age of 30. And now he's got a Commonwealth title shot. So, it's easy to root for a guy like that. He's willing to fight anyone. He wants to fight David Price, but we're not sure if David Price is going to take that fight. Now, David Price should be able to deal with someone like Lucas Brown if Price is feeling 100%. As you can see, Brown is a pretty rudimentary fighter. He's very strong. He's very bullish. He comes in, he throws his big, hard swinging shots. But he's pretty rudimentary. He don't really have much of a jab. He just tries to measure his opponent with his left hand and just go through with the right hand. He's pretty crude. But, like I say, he's a blue-collar fighter. He tries his best. He's willing to fight anyone out there. He pretty much talked about everyone in the UK heavyweight domestic scene that he's willing to fight. He said he's eventually willing to fight David Haye, but right now he said he's ready to fight, Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora, all of them. So that's admirable for a guy with such little experience. How much success he's going to have against those guys remains to be seen, because, as I said, his game is pretty crude. But he is a big, strong guy, and if he connects on you, it could cause you some problems. So hit me up in the comments. What do you feel about Lucas Brown? How far do you think he can go? I don't think he's ever going to be world level or anything like that, but he could be in some interesting fights, especially here in the UK, because we do have quite a lot of heavyweights here in this country at the moment. So there could be some interesting fights, especially if he holds the Commonwealth title. Could be some interesting fights with some of the UK heavyweights. So as far as Richard Towers, I mean, the guy's got so much holes in his game. I'm not really sure, what he can do. But the fact that he got beaten by a guy who had less boxing experience than himself. Richard Towers did have some amateur experience before he went to prison. For those of you who don't know, Richard Towers went to prison for quite a long time. I think 7 or 8 years for kidnapping, and he'd been in prison before for, I believe, attempted murder and stuff like that. So he was boxing as a teenager before he went to prison. Then he went to prison, came out of prison, and pretty much started his professional career. So I don't know, man. I don't want to completely write him off. Maybe he can have a career at domestic level, some kind of career at domestic level. Maybe reach European level. World level, forget about it. I can't see this guy ever reaching world level. I love him to prove me wrong, but I can't see it. Seems to be a nice enough guy these days, so you wish him well, but I don't know, man. I think even at domestic level, we might see him getting hurt by a lot of the guys, So, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out, man. But yeah, hit me up in the comments and let me know how you thought about this fight and these two fighters. This is Hatman, I'm out.